you all agree with me that data analytics on Excel is is broad, all right? It's broad, and it comes with a lot of you know, tentacles, and you have to take the parts that best suits, all right? And today, because we would not be, you know, we don't have all the time. This is a short webinar. We don't have all the time, so I'm going to limit our discussion to some essential Excel functions. All right, essential Excel functions that are very helpful and will help you even in your daily activities. For those who already are in unemployment, this will help you. For those who need that basic Excel knowledge, in my um, in my years of experience, I've seen organizations put out vacancies, and all they're asking for is, can I even get someone with at least the basic Excel knowledge? Okay, and a lot of people get caught up in this. A lot of people fall into this category of those with basic. A lot of people fall into the category of those who do not have a single knowledge, all right, who are clueless about how to use Microsoft Excel. And that is the essence of this masterclass. That's to enlighten us on how to get started and to at least land your first job with this basic Excel fundamental knowledge. All right, so let's get into it immediately. I'm going to share my screen from here now. Just hold on. Let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be taking it gradually so nobody gets lost. All right. So essential Excel functions, there are a whole lot of them, trust me, a whole lot. And since we're talking about beginners here, we'll be starting from the basic ones: sum, average, count, and the if statements. All right, which otherwise is known as the logical statement. So in order to talk about this, first, what is Microsoft Excel? Please confirm that you can see my screen. Confirm that you can see my screen once.
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay. Good.
Yes.
Fantastic. Please. All right. So let's move on. So Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet software that is used for data entry, all right, data analysis, visualization, and automation. All right. I want to believe that everybody on the call, or a very quick one, how many of us have used Microsoft Excel? You know about it. If you use it at all for one thing or the other, can you just use the raise hand button? All right. Oladipo, okay. How many persons? I can only see 5 hands raised. Okay, 4 hands, 5. All right. Beautiful, fantastic. 6. Good. At least we have a good number, all right, who have used or knows about Excel at least for once. But we still have a sizable number of persons who have not even got to know about Excel. So that is the essence of this. Okay, so Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet software that is used for data entry, all right, used for also data analysis, used for data visualization, okay, and then to use for automation as well. All right, and to go on today's discussion will be Excel has formulas, it has functions. Okay, these are key features you can find in Excel. We have worksheets and cells, we have charts and graphs, we have pivot tables. Okay, we also have data validation and filtering. These are features, different features you find in Excel, but we'll be limiting our discussion today to formulas and functions. All right, and I'll be showing you some of the Excel functions, starting from the sum function, the average function, count function, and the if logical statement. All right, So let's start with the first one, the sum function. All right, the sum function adds a range of numbers. All right, and it has syntax. Now I'll be taking you straight into the Excel space so that we can see. It won't be all talks or theory. Let's go and do a little bit of practical. All right, so let's start with the sum function. So I'll be sharing my Excel screen now to get this done. So hold on. Let me switch. Okay, so I'm currently sharing my Excel screen. Confirm again that you can see this time around.
Yes, clearly.
Yes, we can.
All right, okay, so let's move on. So the sum function, let's assume so it is used to add a range of numbers. All right, so you see numbers here. We have a sample of a data set here where you have student names and their scores in the different subjects that they've taken. All right, and we want to sum up each of the scores of every student. So let's say, for example, John scored 89 in maths, 90 in English, 67 in economics, 65 in science, and 90 in accounts. Now, all these figures are dropped on a range. These are what we call range. All right, look at the statement. The sum function adds a range of numbers. Okay, so this set of numbers like this here is now what we refer to as a range. Okay, so there are different ways you can sum up this. For beginners, the sum function is has a syntax that starts with the equal to sign. Okay, so whenever you want to sum up a number, you have to always begin with your equal to sign. So you start by doing this and then hit the SUM to mean sum. All right, and then you open the bracket and you then select the set of numbers you want to sum up. So I can select maths, comma. I'm just following the example you have in the syntax. You can select English, then sum up economics, comma, sum up science, comma, and then sum up accounts. All of these numbers, close the bracket, hit your enter button, and you get the sum of all these numbers. Okay, now this is one way to go about it. Now, the other way to go about it is to highlight the range of numbers. Okay, so let's do that with the next example. So James, I'm going to do that with James now. So I'll use the equal to sign, SUM, open brackets, and then highlight all of these values, this range of values, by clicking on the first one and highlighting all through to the last one, which is account. Then I'll close the bracket and hit my enter button, and there you have it. Okay, so this is how you can sum on a row basis like we've just done, and you can as well sum on a column basis. How do I mean? If you want to get the total score for every student who has taken maths, then you can come down here and say SUM, open the bracket, then sum up all these numbers. And then you get the total score scored by every student in total for maths as a subject. Is that okay? Is this clear? Let me get your reactions. Is this clear? How to use the sum function in Excel. Now, between the two of them, the first one we did, we used the comma to separate each of them. So what you ask yourself now is, why do I have to use commas instead of just highlighting the range of values? Okay, so that means if we have as many numbers, say up to 20 numbers, are you going to start selecting each of them one by one and separating them with commas? The answer is no. All right, so the smart way to go about is to do like this. equals to SUM, open the bracket, and then select the range of numbers, close the bracket, and hit your enter button. All right, and there you have it. So this is how you carry out the sum function in Excel. Now let's move straight to the average function. Come along with me. Let's move over to average. So at every point you don't find it clear, please do well to call me back, and then I will do well to explain again. Now, the average function, just like average, what average is just like is what you know as your mean. Okay, for good economic students, or let me retract that. For every student of maths or even economics, statistics, you know what average means, mean. And what is mean or average? It is the sum of all the different numbers, all right, sum of all the variables divided by the count of the numbers. What do we mean by that? If you sum up all these numbers, we have 5 numbers here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the sum of all these numbers divided by 5 is what we know as the average or the mean. Okay, and what do you use average to do? Average simply tells you the midpoint of something, the midpoint of a set of numbers. So you want to know on average what is the average score of this class in terms of mathematics. Okay, then you do equals to average. Okay, and then I select all of these numbers, close the bracket, hit your enter button. So in average, you can say that this class has average of 83.8 as the score of every student in this class. So if you want to rate the class teacher or the math teacher of this particular student, you can say, oh yes, the math teacher has done well, because on average we have majority of the students scoring as high as 83.8 as a score. Okay, so this is that's for average. All right, and you can let's run the calculation again. Remember, I told you can run your average like this, equal to average. You can type it entirely, or whenever Excel shows you up these options, you can do well to just select it. Okay, Excel is so smart that when you start to type a certain function, it detects that, it assumes you're trying to type functions that start with those set of letters. All right, so it is now left to you to now select which one it is. So for us, we want to select average, so I'll just select average. All right, and then highlight the set of numbers I want to find the average of. Then close the bracket, hit the enter button. Is this clear? Let me know before we move on. All right, I can see your thumbs up. I can see your thumbs up. Okay, are you on your, how many of us are on our laptops at the moment? Okay, Juliet on your laptop. Who else? Okay, just Juliet.
No, there are other hands.
Yeah. There are others. Okay,
Yeah,
4 others. All right.
yeah.
All right. So the reason why I asked that is so that you can take down your hands now. Ibukun, Sakina, you can take down your hands. Good. So the reason why I asked that is just in case you want to carry out these exercises with me as I go on, and if you're getting it, you let me know. And if you're trying to do it at your end and you're not getting it, you can also as well call me back, so I understand what particular challenge you're encountering. All right. So today is all about solution. I want to find solutions and see how we can build on our existing knowledge of basic fundamental Excel functions. Okay, so let's move on. Now, at the end of today, I will leave you with this recording so that you can carry out the rest of, like I've done for math, I've done for English. You can do it to try for economic science and account and see if you get the average. Okay, and let me also point this out. Now, once you've carried out the command of the first average, you don't need to do the same, carry out the same command going on for the rest. You can simply just click and drag. All right. How do I click? Locate this button, this box down here at the bottom corner of the cell, and then click and drag this way. So what Excel will do is it will replicate the same function to the rest of the columns and give you the answer. So once you've written your command once, you don't need to repeat the command going on and on and on. Remember what we talked about, what Excel is used for? Excel is used for automation. One of the last function of Excel we mentioned at the beginning of this class or of this master class was that Excel is used for what? Automation. So you can automate some of these things, get the function once, drag it on, and it will give you the rest. Even at times, even if you don't have a set of numbers, you can drag the function to the empty cells. And whenever numbers come up, for example, I've dragged the formula here. Whenever a number comes up here now, it will begin to find the average of this set of numbers. You see, I've put 20, 30, 45. You see, it will begin to find the average of this set of numbers. So that is the automation part of Excel that you need to know. All right. Now let's move on to the count function. All right, let's move on to the count function. Now, we've seen for sum, we've seen for average. It doesn't end there, and it doesn't mean that that is all the functions we have. But for the sake of this master class and the short period allocated, we won't be talking on all of them. We're just picking on essential. Remember, we call them essential functions. Okay, so count function counts the number of numeric values in a range. The number of numeric values in a range. Okay, when we mean numeric values, we mean numbers. So whenever you have text, the count function would not count it. Whenever you have a text, the count function would not count it. Let's see how that works. We want to count the number of students who have taken this, who are in this class, that have taken these different subjects. Okay, if I do like this, equal to count, all right, open the bracket, and I say, let me count the names of these students. Observe what happens. Excel gives me 0. And you wonder, why is it giving me 0? That's because the count function would only count numeric values. Okay, so if I want to count the number of students, what I should rather do is to count probably the number of students who has a score in maths. For example, since every student, had a maths took part in the maths test or the maths exam. Okay, so I will rather count the number of students with a score in maths like this. Close the bracket, hit enter. You see what happens? So Excel counts, the count function will count numeric values. It will not count text values. See the example by the left corner here. It says count equals to count 10, text 30, 40. It will return 3 and ignore the text that is among the numeric values. Now, that is by the way. Okay, now there is a hack or a trick to this, and that trick is what is known as the count A. Okay, now if the count function counts only numeric values, there is another function. I've shown you a trick on how to count the student. I'm saying count the number of students who took part in a maths test. So if a particular student did not take part in a maths test, let me say Anita, let me take away Anita's score. You see, this is the limitation of doing this. Now I've taken out Anita's score. Now it is telling me that we will have 4 students. Is that correct? Do we have 4 students in this class?
No.
No. So we have 5 students. The fact that Anita didn't take part in the mass test or the mass exam does not mean that Anita is not in this class. Okay, so what happens now? That is where the count A function comes in. Now let's try and see what the count A function will do for us. I'm going to come here now. Let me apply the count A. Count. See, count A. So count A, what it does, let me use count A and count the names now. So highlight all the names you want to count from John down to Ayo, close the bracket and hit the enter. So what count A does is that it counts all the cells that have values in them. Okay, it counts all the cells that have values. Now the values I'm talking about now is irrespective of it being numeric values or text values. It just counts all of them. Okay, so now it now makes sense to count the names rather than counting the scores. Does this make sense? If it makes
Yes.
sense, let me know. Okay, thank you very much. So at the same time, you can as well count the number of students who took a particular subject. Okay, so you can say, let's count the number of students here. Okay, we already did this, so let's count the number of students who took maths. So when we count like this, you see we have 4 students who took maths because one person's score is out. Now, Anita, if for example Anita's score or for a student who did not take part in a subject, you put 0. Now that's going to be a problem because 0 is also identified or recognized as a number. So it is either a dash or you leave blank to mean that student did not partake in that subject. All right, did not write that particular subject. All right, so that is for the sum function, the average function, and the count function. Now there are deeper levels to these different functions. Okay, and that is where we would be diving into as we go into the if logical functions. All right, so at this point we're going to be going on a short break to reconvene soon in the next.
Sorry, Kingsley. No, we're not going off. Just so that they
Okay, we're
can
not
catch
going off.
up. Yes, yes,
Okay, all right.
yes.
Okay, because of our time, we already spent we started late, so we won't be going by a 5 minutes water break as planned. All right, so let's just move straight into our logical functions. All right, yeah, logical functions. I have a lot of examples. You see, a lot of examples that we're going to be making use of in order to discuss these logical functions. All right, so just give me 30 seconds. Let me get my system powered up.
Okay, so far while he's getting his system powered up, I don't see any questions yet. If you do have questions, please do well to drop them in the chat, and Mr. Kingsley would answer them after the class. But I want to believe that while there are no questions there, perhaps it's straight to the point. But please, if you have your questions, drop them in the chat. Hi, Kingsley, are you back?
I'm back. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Jenny. So yeah, this is the very the part where it gets a little very interesting, and I would indulge you to just keep up with the attentiveness that you've already got from the beginning. because it's about to get very interesting. Now, the if logical functions, it works in form of logic, all right? And we have examples of them like the if, the or, the and. These are different logical functions, okay, that we can use in Excel, all right? Now, let's say we have a set of, we have this table that has name and gender, okay? We have a list of 7 names, and we have the gender, male, female, like that, 7 of them. But we want to find out how, if this person is a female, yes or no, tell us. We want Excel to wrap up this logic and tell us if this person is a male or a female. All right. Now, in this case, since we're talking of just 2 possible outcomes, it's a simple yes or no. All right. But by the time we now begin to have more than 2, then it gets a little complex. But for the sake of beginners on logical functions, I want to keep it as simple as possible by using just 2 possible, outcomes. Okay, so let's start with the gender. So you want to see who is a female here. So we're going to use a function known as the if function. And I'm going to write it by using the same equal to sign and if, open the bracket, then select the gender here. If this gender is equal to female, if it's equal to female, FEMALE. Now, you have to be very careful of how the spelling. That is one part that we need to be very careful about. If the gender is equal to female, comma, then value if true. Please confirm that you can see this syntax here. Can you see the syntax as I type? Oh, you're not able to see the syntax. All right, because I'm not sharing my entire screen. All right. And I will want you to do that. I want you to see the syntax. So permit me, let me share my entire screen. Let me share my entire screen. Okay. So this way I won't be able to come and see whose thumb is up and whose thumb is not up. So please, I would want you to let me know when your hands are up. All right.
Don't worry,
so
go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Jenny. Please. Now, I'll start by hitting my if, then select the gender. If the gender here, which is M3, this cell is known as M3. Why? Because this is M3. All right, this is how cells are named, by the column name and the row name. So M3, if M3 is equal to female, all right, comma. Now that is the logical test. You can see the logical test is what is in bold at the moment. So that is what we are currently writing, the logical test, comma. Now, once you hit your comma, observe what happens. It has moved away from logical test. It is now in the area of value if true. So whatever you are putting here now is what you want Excel to return for you if this value is true or not. Okay, so if this is female, tell me yes. Now observe what I've done with the yes. I put the yes, I've enclosed it with double quotation mark, all right, which is the one that you would normally find before your enter button on most keyboards. And there are 2 of them there. There's the single quotation mark will come up when you press it without the shift button on most keyboards. But on most keyboards, you for the double quotation mark, you have to hold down your shift button while you press it. Okay, so you can try that out at your end and let me know if you're able to get it. So let's move on. Now, value if true, tell me yes. Otherwise, if it is not true, tell me no. Then close the brackets. Now, the two values I want Excel to give me, value if true and value if false, I have enclosed them with double quotation mark. Please don't make the mistake of trying to write this function without this quotation mark. It won't work. It will throw you back an error. Okay, so I'll close the bracket now, hit my enter button. All right. Oh, I was supposed to close this as well. Female. Sorry. Same thing with the logical test as well, has to be enclosed with your double quotation mark. Okay, so hit the enter button and there you have it. No, you see, so this gender is no. So if I drag down for the rest, wherever you have the gender as female, it will come as yes, and wherever you have the gender as male, it will come as no, because what we are checking here is female gender check. That is what we want to see. So at a glance now, we can see how many gender here are called female and how many are male. So here we have 3 females and 4 males. Is this clear? Is this part clear? Before we move on to example 2, the second example.
Yes, sir.
You can just unmute. Okay, very well, very well. So let's move on to second example. In second example, we want to see, we have a list of 10 students and we have their scores in a particular test, and we have 70 plus to mean pass. That's from 70 and above to mean pass. And anything lower than 70, which means 69 downwards, is fail. Okay, just 2 possible outcomes. So let's see how that will work now. So I'm going to use the if again. If the score here, all right, is greater than or equal to 70. Now, why am I using greater than or equal to? It means because I want to take cognizance of people with 70 as a score. So if I just use greater than 70, it means 71 and above. But if I say greater than or equal to 70, it will take, if a person has got 70 as a score, it will be classified as passed. All right, so that is the difference. So for students of logic will argue with you that you mustn't do it greater than or equal to. You can simply do greater than 69. And I agree with you. That's simple logic. All right. If you say greater than 69, it will work. So it will take note of 70 and above. But if you know you want to use 70 in your formula, then you must use greater than or equal to, so that it can take note of people who have scored 70 as a score. Okay, let's complete this function now. So what is our logical test? Greater than or equal to 70, comma, if the value is true, give me pass, and if not, tell me that the person has failed. Then close the bracket, hit the enter button. So if I drag down now for the rest, at a glance, in one click, you see pass, pass, fail, pass, fail, pass, pass, fail, pass, fail. Now, we can at a glance see who has passed and who has failed. So imagine this is a list of 10 students. Now imagine if we had 10,000 students. Imagine if we had, just like you have in higher institutions, right? In a particular department can have over 500 students, okay? And a particular lecturer has called his students like this in an Excel. He wants to see how many has passed and how many has failed based on 70 and above as a criteria. How would that lecturer go about this if he doesn't know how to use this simple if function? All right, so you can imagine how stressful it would be to come and start saying, checking line by line, who has done 70, who has not done 70. Okay, so in one click, you can get this. You can get all of this in one click. Okay, so we're going to be moving straight to the OR function. Now, this OR function is very simple as well. Very, very simple. Okay, at this point, we've talked about if, we've talked about, we won't talk about OR now, OR on its own, and then we'll go over to AND. We'll come over to that. And then later on, we'll see how we can now merge if, OR, and AND together. That will be at the end of the whole thing. Is that a question? Someone's hand is up. Oh, so okay, no, that's sound of someone coming in. Sorry, I thought that was
Okay.
Okay. Now let us see how we can use the OR function. At this point, we want to see, we're still using 70 as a criteria, okay? We want to see how many students have, if you have scored 70 and above in either of these, in score 1 or score 2. All right, any of them. Okay, tell if, sorry, or like this score 1 greater than or equal to 70, comma, score 2 greater than equal to 70. Okay, close the bracket. Now observe what happens. See the syntax of this function. It is not giving us value if true, value if false. Do you know why? Because the OR function on its own would only return, will only check the value that you have asked it to check and return for you a logical answer, a logical response. So it will test and check for and give you a logical response in return. That is what the OR function does. So if you close the bracket now, hit the enter button, you see what it has done? It is telling us true. True meaning either score 1 or score 2 is greater than 70. Okay. If I drag this down for the rest, observe what happens. You see, almost everybody is true except for these three: Joseph, Zine, and Paul. Let's see why that is false. Score 1 is 69, score 2 is 67. So none of these two, either this or this, does not meet the said criteria, which is greater than 70. Greater than or equal to 70. You can see Joseph was very close. He got 6. Is 7 above. Now, the OR function on its own like this is a standalone. It will only test the logic that you have asked it to test and return a true or false for you. But now, how interesting it will be is when you now bring in your if. The if is what will now bring about that condition that if it now meets this criteria, now perform this operation for me, give me this value in return, give me that value in return. But if you are using the OR on its own, you are not at liberty to request Excel to return a certain value for you. It will give you a default response, which is true or false. Are you with me now? So that is for the OR. Now, like I said earlier, we're going to see how we can bring in if and or together and say, okay, now when it has met its criteria, give me this value in return. We'll talk about that after now. So let's see about and first before we talk about that. This is example 3, the or function. Now let us see and. Let us see how the and function works. So just like the or function, the and function is also a standalone. It will test the logic you have asked it to test and give you a default response, true or false. Now, you may be asking, where is true or false coming from? Why are we not typing true or false? Now, Excel understands true or false as a default response to any logical operation you are asking it to do. All right, so that is the default response that has been that is already built, is a built-in response in Excel. So let us see how the and function works. Equal and then I'll select score 1 greater than or equal to 70, comma. Observe what happens once you hit the comma. It moves to your second logical test. Now, what's the second logical test? Score 2 greater than equal to 70. Now, you can see there's logical 3 and then there is dot, dot, dot. What does this mean? It means you can have as many logical operations as possible. I can go on and on and on and on like that. You know, if there are more columns here, score 3, score 4, score 5, I can go on and say, keep testing, keep testing. If it means this condition, go to the next one, check this other condition, go to the next one, check this other condition, go to the next one, check the other condition, and tell me at the end of the day if it meets all conditions or if it meets some of the conditions. So what you want to achieve will determine if you will use or if you will use and. So in this case, in this example 3, third example, we were just interested in knowing if it meets at least one condition. That is why we use or. Now, in this fourth example, we want to see both score 1 and score 2 if it meets both conditions. All right, so we do like this. Hit the enter button. You say true. Now let me drag down. You can see a lot of people who were true before, like Cynthia, who was true before, is now false. Why is she false this time around? Because she has not met both conditions of 70 and above in both score 1 and score 2. She did not meet the condition in both of them. She only met in one of them. And that is why the and function is different from the or function. I don't know if you're getting me here. So that is where the and function is different from the or function. Now, for the sake of teaching this at the granular level, that is why I'm using very simple examples. Now, you may be asking yourself, at what point can this be used? Can this be really utilized? Now, take for example, a HR. Okay, a HR person who is checking his employees on different levels. All right, who's checking his employees on different levels. So we're checking, is this person up to, perhaps we want to give a basis for promotion. And we're saying, is this person, has this person worked with us for 2 years? Check this for me, first of all. Now, if this person has worked for me for 2 years, has this person been involved in any disciplinary action before, yes or no? Now, if the answer is no, that is second condition met. Now, has this person been promoted in the last 6 months? If the answer is no, then that is the third condition for promotion. And on like that. Now, has this person met, has this person been punctual in all the days of work in this period, in this 6 months period? Now, if the answer is yes, now based on these 4 criteria, promote this person. So you can see that is where and is going to play perfectly. Now, if the person has met all 4 conditions, totally, then promotion is guaranteed. But if the person misses out on one condition out of the 4 of them, all is already defeated. That is where the AND function will work. Okay, but if in another case you want to promote based on let me even bring you back to the classroom. Okay, when we were preparing for JAMB, or when we're preparing for JAMB, yes, one of the criteria for admission to university is that you have a minimum of C, all right, in 5 subjects, including maths and English. Now, 5 subjects is compulsory. You must have. And out of these 5, 2 again are very compulsory. So you may have 5 in all other subjects, excluding maths and English, and yet you can't get into school. You can have C and above in 7 subjects or even 8 subjects, excluding maths and English, and you still will not get into university until you have minimum of 5, then including maths and English. Now that is where your OR and your AND will now play in. Okay, you can see the OR is going to work because you have it mustn't be all subjects. Okay, that is where your OR will play in, and then your AND will now play in where you want to say you must have maths and English in it. So that is like a simple another example I can give on where your if and are and AND will work. Are you with me now? If you are with me, just turn on your mic and just say I'm following, and so we can move on to 5th example.
Following.
Following.
Okay, beautiful. Following. Thank you so much. I don't want anybody, dropping by the roadside. No. Okay, I want everybody to be with me even to the end. All right. So let's move on. Now let's see the 5th example. The 5th example is talking about if and or if and together. Remember I talked about it. I said at the point we'll talk about where we can now infuse if and or together. Now let us see that. So I told you that your or and your AND function are standalone kind of functions that will only test your logical function and a default response of true or false. But now what if I don't want to see true or false? I want to get a definite response, a defined response, all right, an actionable response to that result. I don't want to see true or false. Now that is where you need to bring in your if function. So let's see how that goes now. So I'll start by using my if function. All right, and then I won't be in a hurry to start building any if function. I will bring in my or function again. You see, if open the bracket and then or open the bracket. So it is your or function built inside of your if function. All right, so let us see how this will work now. So the same thing you did with your or function. Okay, now I will do if the score 1 greater than or equal to 70, comma, or score 2 greater than or equal to 70. Okay, as soon as I'm done with my logic, I'll close the bracket to mean I'm done with my logic. Until you close the bracket, if you keep hitting your comma, it will show you logical 3. You see logical 3 here. If you do again and put your comma, it will give you logical 4. If you type again and put your comma, it will give you logical 5. So you will have as many logical functions. So the only time you tell Excel, I am done writing my logical functions, is when you close your bracket. So let's close the bracket here now. Let me close the bracket here. You see, it has stopped showing me the logical function now. So once I now hit my comma, it will now move away from logical test to value if true. So at this point, it is ready to take whatever response you want to get, whatever response you want Excel to give you as your value when it is true is what you should type here now. So let's say, for example, I want to type past. So I'm going to put it in, I'm going to enclose it with double quotation mark. So I'll do like this, pass, comma, value if not, failed, failed, failed. Okay. Since I'm not using, let me keep it as fail, not failed. So fail, pass, or fail. Now I'll close the bracket now and hit enter. Okay, that is it. If I drag it down for others, you see it now. So the same thing we did here in the third example. The only difference now is that we are not getting true or false, we are getting a defined response. And trust me, don't take my word for it when I say that pass or fail here. Okay, it doesn't mean your response will only vary around pass or fail. It can vary from whatever response. Okay, so it can be promoted to next class. Let me edit this now. Let me edit this. I don't want pass. Let me say promoted to next class. And otherwise, let's advise this person. Advise to withdraw or advise to repeat. It's too easy. Let's be a little fair. Let's not ask the person to withdraw. Just advise to repeat class. So that is it. You see, if I drag it down, you see, promoted to next class, advise to repeat class. Are you getting it now? At this point, define this clear. You have any question around how you can infuse? Now, this is all. You can also do the same thing for and. Okay, you can also do the same thing for and. The same way. You can do the same thing for and as well. If you say, now let me edit this formula. Okay, let me keep this one. Let me just put and here. So if and and together equals to if and together, this greater than or equal to 70, comma, or this greater than or equal to 70, comma, okay, close the brackets. Value if true, move on. And value if false, remain in class. Remain. Move on and remain is what I'm using this time around. You see, if I drag it down now, you see how many people that are asked to move on. This guy that was promoted, Cynthia, who was promoted before, when I use the and function, she's not going to be promoted. She has to remain. Why? Because she has not met both criteria. Okay. So any question at this point before we move on to the 6th example? Any question? And if it's clear, also indicates, you can just turn on your mic and tell me that it's clear.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
Go on
sir,
with your
I've been
question.
trying the if function. It's not working. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, sir.
Okay, so tell me exactly what you have typed on your screen. Just read it out for me. I'm going to type it here, and you tell me if I'm right with what I've typed. Read out exactly what you have typed on your screen. Are you there?
When Keji, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
Okay. I said you should read out what you have on your screen.
Okay, sir. So equals to if,
Okay.
open bracket,
Okay.
F11. I clicked on the cell.
Okay,
F11.
click on the cell. Okay. Which of the examples were you trying to replicate?
Actually, I created a data.
You created something. Okay, no problem.
Yeah,
Just go on.
So
Just go
F11,
on. Okay.
male, comma,
Sorry, come again.
equals to if,
Yeah.
open
Yeah.
bracket,
Yeah.
F11,
Yeah.
male, comma.
All right. Now there's a problem there. F11 male. Like this, right?
Yes.
Comma. Now this was wrong. What what you're trying to tell Excel is you've not given Excel any logical function here to test. All right.
Okay.
When it becomes a logical function is when you say F11 is equal to male. All right. That is when it now begins to look like a logical function. And again, the male has to be enclosed in double quotation mark like this. Make sure you have done that.
Okay, sir.
Is that the difference between
Thank you.
what? Okay, so once you do this, you should get the right answer. Now, there's one question I would have expected someone to ask me, but I've not got that question yet. And if I don't get the question, I will throw it up to everybody, and I'll tell you why it is like that. Okay. So, any other question before we move on to the 6th example? Any other question? In the case of any other question, I'll move on because of our time. Okay. So, sorry, I just quickly I had to attend to something very quickly. So, yeah, this in the 6th example here, we have a list of cars. This is a car parking lots, and once they come to parking cars, they register the car registration number and how many hours that the car has been parked for. Okay, now we want to ascertain how much has been made today. We don't want to use calculator. All right, this is a car parking lot now. You are the person in charge, or like the person in charge here, who is taking note of all the vehicles that are coming to park in that parking lot. All right, and you have a standard rate of 500 naira per hour for any car that has been parked for over 6 hours. Take note of what I've said, over 6 hours, which means anything above 6 hours. From 1 minute, in fact, from 30 seconds to 6 hours is still 200 naira. It's still 200 naira per hour. But the moment it crosses 6 hours, it becomes 500 naira per hour. Does this make sense? Now, this is the manager. The manager has given you, has given the attendant this instruction. Now, it is left for the attendant to imagine how he wants to put this down on an Excel and ascertain how much he ought to have made today, and maybe he wants to reconcile it. He wants to bill the people who have come to park the cars, and you want to issue out receipt, and you want to reconcile and check how much you've made and check it against how much you have actually received today. Okay, so the manager has just put statements. Once a customer comes to park a car, any hours, use of the if function again. This time around, we don't need or, we don't need and, we don't need all of those things. All right, it's a simple if logical function. So let's open our bracket and say if the number of hours, the first number of hours here, greater than 6. Are you with me? Greater than 6. Okay, comma, value if true. Now the value if true is saying let the number of hours, which is this again, multiply is asterisk. That's what you use to indicate multiplication, asterisk on your keyboard. On my own keyboard, I have it on the button for 8. I don't know what it is on your side, but for me, asterisk is on the button for figure 8. Okay, so let's the number of hours multiply 500, because remember the logical function we're testing is greater than 6 hours. So multiply 500 now. Then comma, value if false. What's the meaning of value if false? Now it means the other end of the logic, which means if it is now less than 6 hours, okay, if it is now less than 6 hours, which means 6 hours itself, the first one is saying greater than 6 hours. Now when you now say value if false, you now take cognizance of 6 itself and below. Okay, so 6 itself and below. So value if false, let's this number of hours again multiply 200 naira, and then I'll close the bracket and I'll hit the enter button. And then if I drag this down, you'll see for the rest. 126,200, 55, 1,600, 3. You can see if there were 10,000 vehicles, if there were 1,000 vehicles, if there were 500 vehicles who came to park today, and the number of hours is indicated here, number of hours they spent is indicated here in one single function that is built in less than 1 minute. Okay, you can get how much every vehicle ought to have paid, and you can use that to reconcile and check how much you actually collected from them. Or maybe you want to even issue out receipts, you can easily ascertain this. Now I'm going to come back to the function because I know it didn't digest, I know it didn't sync. Or if it sank, let me know. Did this, or no, if it did not sync, unmute your mic and tell me it didn't sync. It didn't sync for you, unmute your mic, because I know it didn't sync. Sorry?
It sank up to 40%.
Up to 40%, that's below average. That's less than 50%. No, that didn't sync at all. Sorry, another person. It did not sync. I think that's why I didn't want to ask if it sank. I want to ask if it did not sync, because that's a better question to ask.
Sir, the last part of the function.
Okay,
Oh,
did
please.
not
Yes,
see.
it's
Okay,
not seen. Yeah.
all right. That's the second person. Anybody else? Any other third person that did not sing for? So I want to repeat that function again. Okay, all right. So for the two people who have mentioned, and for everybody else who is shy to mention, I'm going to rebuild this. Now let's build this function again. Let's build this function again together. If, open the brackets. Remember, the first thing here is your logical test. Your logical test is what you want to write here. So we're telling Excel, if this number of hours, which is what is going to be entered in this column, all right, if this number of hours is greater than, okay, 6, all right, if it's greater than 6, comma, then that is my logical test. It is already is already preparing this test in his head and saying, okay, check first of all if it is greater than 6. Now Excel has checked this guy and he has noticed that this is not greater than 6. This is 6 itself. All right, and the function simply says greater than 6. It is, remember, that is why I told you that is different from what we did here. When we're doing 70 as a pass mark for students, I was saying 70 and above. So that was what I was saying, greater than or equal to 70. In this case, 6 hours. If you bill somebody who parked for 6 hours, 500 naira, the person will fight you because he's seeing it clearly on the signboard there that 6 hours and above, sorry, above greater than 6 hours is 500 naira per hour, and he's checking his time because he doesn't want to be billed at the rate of 500. He's checking his time carefully, and he comes at exactly 6 hours to come and take his car away. Now, when you bill him at the rate of 500 naira, he's going to fight you. And when it comes to management will now tell you, my instruction was simple and clear. Anybody above 6 hours is what you should charge for 500 naira. Now, anything less than that, which includes 6 hours itself, should be at the rate of 200 naira. So why are you charging this guy 500 naira? Maybe you have an ulterior motive. In fact, it seems you want to dupe him so you can keep the change in your pocket. And that is what your manager will think. But the manager will not know that this is you just battling with simple Excel function and not trying to, dupe anybody. Okay, so now, greater than or equal to greater than 6 is simply saying anything above 6. So 6 and 6.1, 6.2, take note of it as 500 naira per hour. Now, once it is 6 and below, keep it at 200 naira per hour. If this is clear, we are moving on. Now, that I'm not trying to explain. I want to make that logical test. I want it to sync very well. So if that has sung, let us move on. Now, value if true, all right, is saying multiply the number of hours. Now I'm coming back to click on the number of hours again. So, and I'm not saying 6. I'm not mentioning 6. I'm clicking on the number of hours because by the time I'm dragging it down, in this other case, it is no longer 6. It is now 12. In this other case, it is no longer 6. It's now 11. Okay. So I'm saying let the number of hours multiply 500. Now that is value if it is true. Now value if it is false is now this multiplied by 200. Now it is Excel is going to take note of every other thing short of 6 hours and short of above 6 hours. Okay, it's now going to consider it as 200 naira. Okay, so I'll close the bracket now and hit my enter button.
I'm not hearing anything again from my end, though. Is it only me?
No, not at all. I thought it was my network. Hi, Kingsley. If you're still speaking, we can't hear you. Okay, I'm guessing network has locked him off. Okay, before he gets back in, please, does anyone have any questions? You can indicate by raising your hands if you have any questions, so that once Kingsley comes back on, we can take your question. Or you can drop it in the chat box. But if you don't have any, please still let me know that you don't have any.
Okay, can I say my question now? It's not necessarily what Mr. Kingsley has to do, is what for the organizers of the program, basically.
Okay, that's fine. Please go ahead.
So I was going to ask, like this data we worked on today, are we going to get the files for further practice?
Okay, so what you will get from us is a recording of this masterclass, right? So that you can go over it again. Do you understand?
All right. Thank you,
Okay,
Jenny.
can we
Thank you, Jenny,
share the
for
data with
bringing up.
you for practice? Okay. Okay, all right, that's fine. We can share. Kingsley, you're back, right?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, so
So
they are
sorry,
making a
apologies.
request. They are making a
Okay.
request. They want us to share the data with them for practice. All right.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
All right.
I'll
Then.
be. I'm so generous to do that. Okay, so how I got kicked off and I kept on. Sorry for that. So we're rounding up already. We want to draw the curtain for today, but let me just reiterate. I know I was explaining. I was re-explaining for those two people who said you didn't. I got kicked out. Were you able to grab it now?
Yes.
So I heard a male voice.
Yes.
All
Well done,
right,
sir.
all right, fantastic, nice one. So now that is how it works. Okay, um, essential exam functions. There are a lot that are deeper than this. All right, but this being a free webinar, a master class, we just run this for free for beginners. Okay, and we hold this every now and then. I think every month we hold at least one masterclass that surrounds around data and even advanced data analytics. This one happens to be for beginners. All right, so like Jennifer already said, we're going to be sharing the data sets for this. I'll be sharing it to, okay, okay, our WhatsApp channel has been dropped on the chat box. You can take the link from there, connect with us connect with us via that. I can drop the data sets to this class that we just used for this master class. I can drop it for you right now on Jenny. What's the best way we can share this? Is it,
Okay,
can you
I was
advise?
going to, yes, we are going to send them this recording. So please share it with me and I will send it to them. So when the
Okay,
recording is being sent to their emails, they will also receive the data set alongside by
all right,
tomorrow.
okay,
Yes.
okay. We
Yes.
have their email addresses
Yes, by registration. Is there anyone here that did not register? I believe everyone on the call registered for the master class.
okay, all right. So the data set is going to be shared with you immediately.
It will be shared
Now,
tomorrow as we
okay,
send the
so
recording.
okay, tomorrow rather. Sorry. Alongside with the recording of for this section. Jenny, do you also want to mention about our upcoming programs?
Okay, please let's I want us to give a round of applause to appreciate our instructor for today. We are wrapping up now. I just have a few updates. I can't see your clap, so a round of applause for him. Thank you so much, Kingsley, for that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I want you to know that this you get better with practice, yes. And I have dropped a link in the chat box. We have a WhatsApp channel, and you can follow this channel to get updates on our free master classes, upcoming programs, and learning insights, even job updates. So all you have to do is click on that link that I just shared, and you can join the WhatsApp channel. Please confirm that you can still hear me. I want to be sure that you guys are with me. We are
Loud
wrapping
and
now. Okay, okay. All right. I will be sharing my screen quickly. We have a cohort coming up for those of you who would be interested. So what Mr. Kingsley just shared is a tip of the iceberg. Now, our training programs last between 6 to 8 weeks, and they take their time to dig deep into these things. Do you understand? So the next cohort is for March 15th. There are other cohorts, just in case you're not ready for March. You can join the next one in April, just like that. But I am dropping our Facebook link in the chat box, so you can follow us on Facebook and other social media channels, right? So for this particular cohort coming up, we have 3 programs for this cohort. We have Power BI data analytics for working professionals. This one is specifically for working professionals. So we get to teach you how to save time on reports, how to get your insights faster, generally to improve your productivity. So you don't have to, drag time just to analyze data and all of that. And it lasts for 8 weeks. So okay, I see someone saying I can't access the links. Okay, we'll also send it via the emails for you. All right. I believe that through the emails you can access it better. Gochi, did you get that? Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, the professionals program is a special one for working professionals. And then we have 2 other programs for beginners, particularly for fresh graduates and core members. This is a special program. We call it our Camanda grad skill. Okay, so there is a big demand for data analysts, and it's growing so fast. And analysts are making lots of money. So you just came out of school, or you're a youth corper, you're still serving. Beautiful. You can join this program, and it's at a very, very, very discounted price. On a normal day, we'll pay 100K for this our program, but we have discounted it and made it so low that all you have to pay is 10,000 naira to join and learn. Okay, so for beginners, you analyze data with Power BI, and create interactive dashboards. So in the email that you'll be getting tomorrow, you will also get links in case you are interested in any of these programs. All right. I want to believe that today has been an amazing one for you all. Apologies, I see it is 12:36. We have overshot by 6 minutes, but I trust that you don't mind. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you once again. And we look forward to having you next time on our free masterclass. Have a great day, everyone. Once again, Mr. Kingsley, we thank you for how much you simplified today's class. Cheers,
Thank you,
guys.
Jennifer.
All right, guys. Have a great day ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, Kingsley.
Any?
I'll call you offline. I see someone still here. I'm calling you offline now. Okay.
Alright.
Do cheers. Aziz. Thank
Yeah.
you for joining in.
Thank you, Nidu. Aziz, great you.